What's up, everybody? This is Lou Dogs, Lou TV. Long time no see here. The college football crew, the only guys that really get on here lately, other than maybe Adam every now and doing some 60 minutes interviews with some people, with some fantasy type execs. But I got Andrew and Zach with me here again. We're rocking hoodies. Are you rocking a hoodie too here, Andrew?
I am, dude.
Hoodie. We got a Boise hoodie, correct, Zach?
Of course.
And I'm repping the Lou Dogs with my Lou Dogs hoodie. Uh, Big game Monday, obviously, the championship. We're going to talk a little bit about the playoffs, how we thought it went, surprises, maybe some things we were expecting happened, and then we're going to talk transfers, who's going where, who we think could go where. Just kind of BS. What would be fun to see Braxton Miller going to Oregon? How fun would that be to see situations like that, and then coaches in new spots, how that'll impact some fantasy, and honestly, just whatever in college football news, because we're going to be trying to do about 3 or 4 shows a month here, once a week, pretty much, trying to get you guys in with the college football, keeping you guys in it. And I know I don't want to speak for you guys, but this is like a dead period where I'm just like missing football already. NFL is just not the same for me. Andrew, are you a big NFL guy at all, Andrew?
I watch it and gamble on it because what else you can do on Sundays? But I mean, it's college football for me so much more. Like, it's not even much of a comparison.
And Zach, you got to be the same way. I mean, as a Boise guy, I mean, do
Yeah.
they have? I mean, you're in Memphis. You don't root for the Titans, do you?
No, not really. As a kid, I was a huge NFL guy. Like I studied. I was like 7 years old, like studying stats. I can remember it to this day. But like now, I've lost a lot of interest in the NFL. I think, I guess as I've grown, I've seen like what money's done to the league, to sports in general, like professional sports.
Right, and I think that I made this. I came to this conclusion a while ago, and I feel like it's starting to become more and more prevalent that. I mean, I understand that college football and college basketball are inferior products to the professional league, but the difference is, like, college basketball sucks to watch because the kids who suck can't score, and most of them can't score because it's tough to put the ball in the hoop. College football, when the players are bad, you just see people scoring all over the field, which is at least fun. It's fun to gamble on. It's fun to watch. So, I mean, I feel like that's why college football is such a better product, just in terms of how much more pleasing it is to be a fan.
Well, college football is like, I mean, football is the sport. I mean, it's like the soccer of the rest of the world. And football for us is just like, it's speed, it's action. You got comedy with the butt fumbles going on everywhere, and Dan Orlovsky running out of the back of the end zone. And then it's pure with, I mean, because I work at the Hall of Fame, at College Football Hall of Fame, and I talk to people all the time that just love it because it's like, to them, and I can agree. I say the same thing. It's pure. It's kids that haven't tasted what it's like to be. Well, maybe not all of them, but some of them haven't tasted what it's like to be getting paid to play, and it's just a different beast here. But what did you guys think of the 4-team playoff? Let's start maybe with the actual fact that it was a 4-team playoff compared to 6 or 8. Who did you think? Would you think Ohio State deserved to be in? Did you think TCU, Baylor? I mean, what did you guys think about the whole 4-team playoff, Zach? I mean, you're a smaller conference guy. I mean, I know Big 12 is not a smaller conference, but TCU coming from the Mountain, what was it? Were they in the Mountain West for a while?
Yeah. You know, I like the idea because I think you have to lay the groundwork to get to eventually where you want to be. Like, if they had just jumped into an 8-team playoff, I don't think there were 8 deserving teams that should have been in the playoff this year. I think 4 was good. I would have liked 6 because I think obviously this year you had 6 teams that really had a legitimate say. But I think, I mean, you could say this now, they got it right with Ohio State, but I would have liked to have seen TCU in that game myself, but I can't complain because I think just from a football standpoint, we got 2 really good matchups.
Andrew, you got any thoughts on that before I hop in?
I guess I think that, I mean, clearly TCU seemed pretty deserving. So definitely an argument that if you think all 4 teams were deserving, then you think that weren't, then there should be more than 4 teams, and which I guess would mean 8. But if that's the case, like kind of I guess what Urban Meyer was getting at, where it's like basically turning into an NFL kind of schedule, which isn't ideal for a number of reasons. But at the same time, if you start shrinking off the regular season schedule, do you have enough of a season to really separate like the top 8 from the top 10, the top 4 from the top 6, and stuff like that? So it's like such a catch-22.
I mean, I think you cut that FCS game out though. Like all these teams playing Chattanooga and Western Carolina. Why?
Yeah, Zach hates the FCS game.
Well, no,
Zach,
I mean, I feel like
it serves a purpose, man. It serves a purpose.
for the
For
FCS
schools, it does. It's like you have to. It's kind of like I was just going to jump into something I shouldn't have. It's them giving to the needy, right? It's like the Florida States giving to Savannah State, saying, "Hey, you know what?"
and I get that. I'm all for it, just not in November.
Yeah,
you're gonna do
that's a different. That's a different. Like that's a different.
I have a proposal. This is actually good. Like we have these spring games, right? We have Alabama playing the Crimson and White game, whatever. Like, I'd rather see them against another team, not each other.
But the thing with the Crimson game is you're testing new guys. You want to see different personnel. You want to see combinations. You want to see what works, what doesn't work. And if you're playing against your own team, there's no lose there. If you play Savannah State and you're Florida State, and you want to see what it's like to have quarterback 2 with the first starters, things can get messed up. What happens if they lose? I mean, that's a thing that's a matchup that they're not going to want to run into because it's just not a win-win.
My point is though, like if you're playing in a spring game, you could do that anyway.
But if you do it in the spring game, you're losing to yourself. If you do it in the spring game against an FCS, then you're losing to an FCS. And as much as you can say, well, I was playing all 80 players that are on scholarship, I totally get your point. And I'm not a fan of FCS, but I just think that like the whole – I don't have a problem with it, but the fact that these schools could possibly lose to a small school, like an App State beats a Michigan by luck.
It could happen anyway. Like that's the thing. But okay, my other proposal. I have one more. If not the spring game, do it like how the NFL has preseason. Have it as a preseason game.
I can get behind that because at least you're having your starters on the field and you already know what you're like going into the season. Right. You know what you're doing.
Like you come out of fall camp, like maybe 2 weeks before the official regular season starts. You have this preseason game against whoever and just go from there. I mean, because really, you see these games where you have 2 big teams play in the first week, and you could say at the end of the year, like, well, if they had played in week 10, it might have been a completely different game as instead of week 1 when they both kind of came in not knowing what to expect.
Like Wisconsin and LSU.
Exactly. That's perfect. I mean, I'll even throw Boise in there. Like, they take advantage of that a lot of times. They come in, they think that, you know what, we can beat them just on, our scheme. They haven't had any film to watch on us on all summer. We can come in and just beat them when they're not really expecting it, I guess. But yeah. I think if you have that, I don't know, it's kind of like a warm-up game, really, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, it even is still a warm-up game for people that still play. Back to the original question, I kind of like the 4-team, but I'm trying to decide if I want a 6-team or a 4. I don't want an 8-team because, like you said, I don't think there are enough teams consistently. And I know I said this to somebody that's an NFL guy, and they said, well, the 8-team could be 9-3. Why do they deserve the national championship compared to a team that's 12-0? Like, why do they get the, you know what I'm saying? And he said, well, in the NFL, we have teams that get in at, the Panthers got in at what, 6-9-1?
Yeah, they were
and they could win the Super Bowl. And, the Ravens have gone in there at 9-7. Like, why do they deserve the Super Bowl? But I don't have a reasonable answer for it. It just doesn't feel right to me.
I guess my argument there, I'll let Andrew get in this, but like the NFL, those are professional athletes. Like any given day, you could have a win. A team could be 0-10 and come out and win by 20 against a team that's 10-0. I mean, it could happen. Like in college football, there's not that parity as there is in the NFL.
Andrew, you like 4 teams, 16, or 6 team or 8 teams?
I kind of like 6 to some degree. I like the idea of a bye just because like that's really the only true reward when you're talking about teams that are this good. Like we saw how much good being the 1 seed did for Alabama. So I mean, if you're gonna seed someone number 1, give them a true advantage.
Right. Like they didn't really get any advantage by being number 1, just to be named number 1.
Right.
Yeah. I think if I had to vote, I would say 6. You have the top 2 teams. I just with the amount of teams that play random team, if everybody played the same people, I could rank teams 1 through 6 very easily. But because the changes of schedules are so different, like FSU going undefeated, Bama playing the SEC West and the SEC, TCU and all this. It's tough to distinguish a 1 and 2, but I'd rather do that and give somebody a bye that I think is deserving at the time, especially now that there's no formulas. At least you can actually get some opinions on it. But I think I would go 6 teams. So before the playoffs started, Ohio State was thrown in the mix at number 4. Andrew, who did you have in as your number? Let's just assume that you had Florida State, Oregon, and Alabama in. Who did you have as your 4th team, Andrew?
TCU.
Zach.
Who did my formula say, or who do I want?
No, I don't want to hear about your formula. Okay, that's for another week.
I said TCU as well.
And I had TCU as well, and I don't know necessarily if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us are wrong because I think TCU could have really. I really wanted to see TCU play Alabama, but Ohio State did it. They beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Going to this championship game, are there any matchups you like, dislike, and who do you think wins the game, Zach? You have a guy that you think wins? You don't have to say you have a team winning. I'm curious. Zach, you're very the opinionated one here.
I think that I've heard it all week about the way to stop Oregon is to get pressure and to on first down, limit them to less than 2 yards, something like that. And I think Ohio State can do that. I think that their defensive line can disrupt Oregon. Now, do I think that they can stop Mariota too? I don't know. Like that I'm very interested to see how this plays out because I didn't think Ohio State was going to beat Alabama.
No.
I didn't think it was even going to be close, to be totally honest with you. But when I saw Cardale Jones stand in the pocket and just sling it around, I said, this kid's confident, man. Like, I don't think anything's going to rattle this guy.
Yeah, and Jones is just obviously a talented player. Obviously.
Yeah.
You're leading a team after not really starting until the championship game of the Big Ten. I don't want to call Cardale Jones dumb because I don't know what his academic grades are. Okay, but sometimes somebody can be so oblivious to common sense that he's just insanely confident for absolutely no reason. You know what I'm saying? He could have gone into that game thinking Alabama was like the worst team ever and being so confident about it because he just is common sense dumb or just does not think about those kinds of things. He can be so loopy out there, and like you said, he was confident standing in the pocket, and I didn't have Ohio State winning at all. I thought they got blew up. I even tweeted when it was 7-0 TCU over Ole Miss, I said, this is going to come back, and we're going to say, after Alabama rolls over Ohio State, man, I wish TCU would have been in here. But they proved me wrong. They proved a lot of us wrong, and I think that
I don't think anybody outside of Ohio State fans picked Ohio State to win that game. Let's be real.
No, and you don't even have every school has those fans that are like. I have one of my bosses is an FSU fan, and every single week she was like, "Well, we're gonna lose this week. We're gonna, there are no Alabama fans that think they lose at all. They don't go into the week thinking that. There's 0 fans that do that. Andrew, do you think TCU would have beaten Alabama? Andrew?
Yeah, I definitely think TCU would have won. Alabama was a good team, but what makes you say that this Alabama team was that good? I don't care if they got the 1 seed. What did they really do that was that impressive all year?
Thank you. for admitting that.
I feel like this group of Blue TV members are anti-SEC, and I know I am. Oh, I don't say anti. I just want to say that I think that the SEC is clearly I think they're number one. But to say they're like above and beyond everybody, to me, is a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like just because a lot of high-ranked teams beat each other doesn't make them good early on in the season, in the middle of the season. You know, to me, I saw a stat and I read it on Reddit College Football, and it said something to the effect of, in the last 2 seasons, outside of the SEC, the SEC West is 1-11 against top 10 teams.
Wow.
And if that was a stat about the Big 10 or the Big 12, that would be crazy thrown out there and crushed. And I'm not saying who's the one conference that can compete with the SEC right now. I would say the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compare divisions. I think the SEC West is still the best division. But I think it's a lot closer than people realize. And I too think TCU would have probably beaten Alabama. They don't have that elite defense to go with the quarterback. And I think in the end, the whole elite defense thing is gone.
Let me ask you this, though. If an SEC team goes into Columbus in December or November and plays them, I mean, that's a tough game. Because especially when you play in 70 degrees and sunny most of the year, having to go into possibly 20 degrees and snow. Oh, like Ohio State going into Minnesota. That's a tough game for anybody.
Well, you have to, embrace different weather conditions. It's like
that's true, but I feel like
no, we can't. So
these SEC recruits, some of them have never even seen snow before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying that they would lose. I'm just saying that if you had to play in the elements each and every week, like more so than just rain, I don't know. I think that needs to come into play. Not saying the Big Ten's on par as a whole with the SEC. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different things that kind of come into play when evaluating teams.
All right, so Zach, I don't know if I got an answer from you about the winner of this Oregon-Ohio State game. Do you have a winner of the Oregon-Ohio State game?
I'm going to say Oregon just because I know Andrew probably is going to hate on this, but because I think Mariota finally just gets over that, it's a big game, he's not going to play well. I mean, I know last week he played well, but really Florida State handed them the ball a ton. Let's be real.
I still think Oregon wins.
No, I do too. I'm saying Mariota didn't have to do a whole lot though. I mean,
he really didn't, and I had him on one of my King of the Canvas teams. He really was not challenged at all, and still had a really good game. Just didn't have the amount of TDs he usually has. Right now, let's see here. Right now, the total is 75.5, with Oregon being 6-point favorites. It started at 68.5, and a pick'em. Not sure if I understand that, but the pick'em, I'm not sure if I'm getting that right. But Andrew, do you agree with? I think Ohio State loses to Oregon. I think Oregon wins by 7 to 10 points.
Dude, I'm on the 12 gauge bandwagon. Let's go.
Why am I not surprised?
I knew that was coming. I knew it.
But I mean, I get it's probably more hope than faith. But I think if Ohio State can just slow down the run game of Oregon, and just make Mariota have to get the ball in the hands of playmakers down the field, then this can be made into a game. I mean, I guess he had so many open receivers against Florida State. Like, all those Carrington big plays were just I don't understand how you get to the playoff game and leave people that wide open. Like, it was kind of out of control.
Well, go ahead.
But what's it called? I'm hoping, because just from watching these two teams so often this year, I've developed a favorite player on each team, and I'm hoping that my boys Jalen Marshall and Charles Nelson both have big games, just because I think they're both awesome.
Dude, what? You've been watching a lot of, so your favorite players from these teams are Jalen Marshall and Charles Nelson? You're talking about Jalen Marshall touched it like 5 times last game. And
He's
Charles
awesome, man.
Dear God, Andrew, why am I not surprised? I don't. You know what? I feel like every week I'm like, Andrew is going to be super conservative with what he says on the show, and then he comes out and says, of course, what I think he's going to. Heart of hearts thinking. Yeah, I just in the end, I think Oregon. I honestly, the thing is with me is, I didn't think Ohio State had a chance against Alabama, and they beat them.
Right.
And now they play a team like Oregon, who I already thought Alabama would beat going into this whole thing. I thought it would be Alabama, Oregon, and Alabama beating Oregon, and Alabama lost to begin with. So it's a tough thing to grasp here.
What's the over/under for Urban Meyer heart attacks on the sideline during the game?
Did you see his response to hearing? I'm sure you guys did, but did you hear the response that he had when he found out that
the score?
Oregon won by almost?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
No.
Oh my! You haven't seen it? You have to look it up. But pretty much the guy's like, Oregon won 59-20 against Florida State. What are you gonna do to prepare for them next week? And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, they won by 40. He's like, they won by 40. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get ready for the game.
No. The best part's the face that he makes, though. You gotta watch it.
You have to watch it. It's classic. And
That's awesome.
I mean, I don't like Urban Meyer, but
Dude, he's the best.
I Team Harbaugh, bro, which will segment correctly right into what I want to go with here.
Hold on. I think Urban Meyer with Mark Mangino and Dino Babers would be like Andrew's dream staff.
Who is Dino Babers?
No, replace Dino with Rich Rod.
Rich Rod, yes.
Wait, are you throwing an offensive type coach as the head coach and Urban Meyer, and then putting 2 offensive coordinators as your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator?
We're not having a defensive coordinator.
They're co-offensive coordinators.
You have Rich Rod as the defensive coordinator.
They're just going to score.
Prepare more for more offense just in case.
We're just going to keep scoring.
Like merge Baylor and Oregon together, and that's what you're going to get.
It is worth
and then Rich Rod's magic. Throw that in there too.
It is worth noting, guys, that the Big Ten has been an unbelievable conference since Jim Harbaugh signed as Michigan's head coach.
They're undefeated.
No, they lost I guess you can count Iowa as a Big Ten team still. They lost to Tennessee quite badly. But besides that, they got wins over Baylor. They got wins over Alabama. A bunch of random wins. I mean, Big Ten, what do you think? Let's go here with it. With Harbaugh going to Michigan, let's just go really, really on point with just Michigan. Do you think how long do you think it takes Michigan to become another 10-win team if they become a 10-win team? Do you think it's possible, Andrew, for them to do that?
Sure, dude. Everything that we've seen from Shane Morris hasn't looked that great, but in college sports, the coach matters so much. How often do you see a guy like Harbaugh really, really fail?
I'm not sure he has failed in coaching.
He hasn't.
Yeah, he's not just a big name. He's turned around programs at the college and professional level. I feel like the question isn't really when or if he's going to get to 10 wins, but what would have to happen for him not to? Something would have to go wrong as opposed to needing more to go right, I feel like.
I'm a Michigan guy, so I'm going to be a little biased here. I think this upcoming year is going to be a bowl game, 6-6 type year. The talent is not necessarily there for him, but at Stanford, he took a team that won one game before him with Tyrone Willingham. That's a throwback name there. And made him an 11-win team within 3 years. I think that's completely possible. I think the fact that he's got all the coaching staff that he's bringing on, I don't know any of these guys. I'm just going off of what literally every single person on Twitter and on Reddit and, the whole, everything you see on the internet's true. I completely believe that. All these guys seem to be great recruiters, and Harbaugh is a guy that can can make a good team out of us three. Okay, so I think within 3 years you could see Ohio State Michigan be like a great rivalry again. Zach, do you have Harbaugh thoughts, or do you just want to skip it and go right to more Boise State chatter?
No, I mean, I've been talking to people at work that they're Ohio State fans, and we've kind of come to the conclusion that this is great for college football in general because Ohio State Michigan is so big. Like, I mean, lately it's only been big to them, but when it's big nationwide, when it's an Alabama Auburn winner goes to basically the title game kind of big. I don't know if it'll ever get that big, but it has the chance to. And I think that right there that's very important, not only for college football, for the Big Ten in general, because you're going to see kids and saying, you know what, I'll go to Michigan now. We've got an NFL head coach. I mean, plain and simple.
Andrew, you kind of gave a look there. Do you have a thought, or was that just?
I don't know if talent's so much been the issue in the last couple of years. So much it's just that it's been a badly run program. The recruiting's been fine, hasn't it? You guys got Jabril Peppers, who's a 5-star recruit. Devin Garner clearly had the tools, and I feel like he just needs to be molded into being a better quarterback.
The one thing Brady Hoke did do right was recruit. Not upper echelon, top 5 recruiting classes, but he recruited
solid
very
classes.
Very above average classes. I mean, the cupboard's not bare for Harbaugh. I just, it's tough to see. Coaches can get a lot out of their players that some coaches can't. Okay, and I'm going to guess that Harbaugh got a ton out of these guys out of Stanford because he didn't just make a 1-win team to an 11-win team in 3 years just because of 2 years of recruiting and freshman and sophomore. But when you look at Shane Morris and Funchess is gone, and you have 3 capable running backs but no superstar running back, an offensive line that was getting beat up badly in the Big Ten, to me that just makes me feel like it needs a couple of years. But who knows? Maybe he brings in some guys that can coach him up and run an offense that fits their personnel. You know how the smaller schools always seem to run spread offenses or funky offenses because they have to make do with what they have.
Yeah.
Maybe he does that for a year or two and then gets into his pro style, but I mean, I think it's going to be the sky's the limit with him, and I think Michigan fans were literally what would have happened if Harbaugh did not go to Michigan? Who would have possibly been the head? Who seriously would have been the coach of Michigan? Because you're looking at I'm not a big Mullins guy from Mississippi State. I think that's a Dak Prescott creator, but who possibly could have gone to Michigan?
Les Miles. They went all in on him.
I mean, Les Miles is the only other big name I could see even considering that job.
But I don't think – yeah, Les Miles was the big name, but I think the fact that they went all in on a Harbaugh might have, ruined his ego, Miles' ego. And he didn't leave him the last time.
Right.
I mean, and I guess the other big name was Mullins, and he could have gone there, but I don't think that's it would have been fun to see, even as a Michigan guy. It would have been funny to see
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let's say Harbaugh doesn't turn Michigan into a 10-win team. Even 3 or 4 years, say they're just 7, 8 wins the most. Then what? Then what do we blame it on?
So how many years is this? 3 to 4 years?
3, 4, 5 years. Let's say that their peak is 8 wins. Are we still blaming the coach, or are we going to actually blame just the whole program altogether?
I think with everything that's going on with the last couple of years last couple hires of coaching, different coaches, I think they would blame that more on the academics ruining the recruiting and weird stuff like that. I mean, Harbaugh, they love Harbaugh, and I think Michigan will give him 5 years easily.
Right.
What happens in the 6th year if they go 8-4?
That's kind of what I mean. I didn't really.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I never thought about it because I just don't think it's possible. But maybe somebody, 6 years down the line, was Kevin Sumlin considered a huge hire 6 years ago? And now he's a ton of teams would love to have him.
Right.
Which,
by the way, I know you guys heard the pool boy story.
The pool boy story.
This Kevin Sumlin fired his pool boy. You didn't hear about that?
Yeah. Well, what isn't that big of a deal that he goes, oh, I saw Kevin Sumlin on the phone, hopefully talking to our new defensive coordinators?
Here's the thing. Like, I could see it both ways. Like, as it being a business perspective wise, like, you hired this guy to clean your boy. I don't know how old the guy was, but he came into your home. He's cleaning your pool, right? And you're on the phone. You could be talking to somebody, a defensive coordinator, whatever. But to me, to tweet that out as like, hey, he's on the phone, like you may have heard something to make you kind of hint that, hey, it might be a defensive coordinator. I think that's kind of, I guess, the lack of a better word, is unprofessional. I don't know.
Do you think it's more unprofessional that someone was like, well, now you don't have a job anymore?
Now
he might have been kidding. It might have just been a joke. Like,
yeah, it may have been, and then the kid probably said, you know what, screw you, and then could have gone that way. We don't know.
I mean, I think it's just a hilarious thing. Whenever you're talking about pool boys and you're on the internet, there's a wide amount of entertainment that can be ensued with that. Let's move on to something not Michigan. What else do we want to talk about this offseason? I want to get into transfers. We're talking coaches here, so what about a couple college coaches changes? We're not going to talk about Pelini and Youngstown State. We're going to talk about Riley at Nebraska, maybe, or McElwain in Florida. The new high school coach coaching at UNLV. What are some, like, maybe what is one what is one coaching change, new location for a coach that you're looking at in this next offseason that could impact good or bad for fantasy teams? Andrew, what are you starting us off
Let
with?
Andrew start with this one.
well, more than fantasy teams, just my personal.
Here comes
interest.
Schottenheimer. Here comes
Dude, I can't believe this guy's back in my life.
Because are you a Jets fan?
Yeah.
Oh my! So you're perfect. Tell us about Brian Schottenheimer and what he's going to bring to this dynamic UGA offense.
I mean, fortunately, I think that there's little he can mess it up because it's just gonna be turn around and give it to Chubb every single time. But I mean, if there is a way to screw it up, he'll find a way. Like he calls runs when it's time to pass and pass when it's time to run. Like he just sucks. And, like it's not a pleasant experience like rooting for an offense that he coaches. But what was I gonna say? Yeah,
from what I've heard,
there's not too much to say about that.
From what I've heard, and honestly, with all the crazy things going on, and I've been really tuning into the sports talk radio these days because I'm just sitting in traffic nonstop now, and I'm tired of listening to Maroon 5 nonstop. But they haven't even had a chance to talk about the hire. But from what I've read online, it seems like Schottenheimer is a very predictable play caller. He likes to run it and be safe. And honestly, looking at it, trying to be devil's advocate, he's coached in St. Louis and in New York, where he's had, Geno, Mark Sanchez. I don't know if Geno was there for him, but Mark Sanchez and Sam Bradford and, Sean Hill, maybe if he was there this past year, I'm not sure. A lot of bad quarterbacks. Do you think that has impacted his ability to be a coach at all, or do you think that's, has he not developed them? What do you think, Andrew?
I just think he sucks, but regardless, I think Rick's gonna probably call plays for the most part. Like I don't see Rick turning over the reins to him completely. Hopefully, we can after this year, so he can't screw up Jacob Eason, the quarterback we're supposed to be getting, #1 recruit in 2016.
Don't you think this hire was more to protect the recruits that are coming than anything? Because Bobo is like a guy.
How does that protect recruits when you see that we hired this loser who can't call plays to save his life?
Because you're hiring a guy that was in the NFL. These kids are stupid. They the guy was in the NFL. Cool, I love that. But it's also the whole fact that he runs the football. He's not a spread them out, triple option and veer and whatever you want to call it. He's a very basic pro offense, which Georgia has right now. And Jacob Eason is not like a dual threat, correct? He's a singular threat.
No, yeah, I think he like his arms is most of where it's at with him.
He's the
Right.
number one pocket passing quarterback.
So wouldn't he want to be in a pro style offense that the same style of offense that Stafford and Murray played in? A
I guess I just thought it sounded really cool when we were supposedly looking at the Western Kentucky offense.
stop
That's-
right now.
that's-
Well, I mean, I don't care how good Western Kentucky's offense was. When you have Nick Chubb, your offense should be line them up, put a fullback in front of them, and run the damn football.
Did you not
And I
watch
think that's
the Bahamas Bowl?
the. Did I watch the Bahamas Bowl? Good
That was
God.
the question.
Of course I watched the Bahamas Bowl. You know who I am. But that's different. That's a shotgun type brand. They don't have Brandon Doughty. Okay, they don't got Dangerfield and McNeil on the Georgia offense.
Yeah, I get your point.
Zach, your offensive coordinator stayed at Boise and did not go to Ohio State. Very good news for you. What coaching change other than maybe a non-coaching change, which was nice for you, are you going to look at in 2015 to be good or bad?
I'm interested, really. McElwain at Florida, man. They've been so below average. Is what I'm going to say. Bad, really. But at Florida, when they have all of this talent at Florida, so I don't think you can blame the talent not being there. And I think McElwain, he's been a very good coach, man. Like, I was shocked when they had, what were they, 10-1 again in the Mountain West at one point. We were like the only team that beaten them all year, and then they play Air Force and lose. But I mean, they won 10 games at Colorado State. I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, they produced a guy out of Rashard Higgins.
That's true, but they had Higgins last year too, but they didn't win 10 games, did
Well,
they?
no, I don't think so. But I'm just saying, like, he developed a guy into that, and Florida has some tempting receivers.
Right.
Demarcus Robinson. They got a young guy with some experience at quarterback, Treon Harris. Hashtag free Treon. I don't know what I think about the hire. I'm leaning more towards, like, still years of slow, not a whole lot of wins from Florida. But I don't know I don't know enough about McElwain to really give you an opinion I would let you bet on with.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, he's in the SEC East, so it's kind of wide open right now. They could come out and win 9 games easily.
You trying to say?
I mean, come on. Georgia is like the only team that. I mean, hell, didn't they beat Georgia this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're such a troll. You know that. You knew the answer to that question. What about the fact that Florida played some random dude that crapped his pants last week? What was the deal with that? 1, 2. What happened to Kelvin Taylor and Matt Jones? I was working and I was, hungover.
It's really disgusting that they did that. Like, unless there's more to it, that like all that you can really discern from the information available is that Matt Jones said he was going pro, and because of that, they decided he wasn't going to play in the game.
Right.
Like, that's
Matt
how
Jones
disgusting is that? No, he's a junior.
Then why would he go pro?
Dude, I don't
College
know.
kids make me so upset. Okay.
If you're a running back, why would you ever stay an extra year?
Why would you go in the biggest running back draft class there ever is? You have Jay Ajayi, a guy that had almost 30 touchdowns and like 2,000 yards, is like the 9th ranked running back. Like,
Fair, but
Total
how
steal.
high a draft
Total
pick would
steal,
he
by
really
the way.
be
He's
anyway?
going to go to the Patriots, and they're going to win a Super Bowl.
dude, Jay Ajayi to the Lions in the 4th rounds, 100%.
That'd be
Okay.
sweet, man.
I'd love it. We'd have Joyke Bell and Ajayi. You wouldn't know who was who. It'd be awesome. Yeah, that was a very odd Florida situation. And speaking of another running back who's going pro, which I don't understand at all, Josh Robinson. What, like, I get it. Maybe this is what he think is the peak of his potential, but, like, where does Josh Robinson get picked? Like the 5th round, Andrew?
Yeah, I guess, man.
I mean, he's not a speedy. He's not going to get any better in the combine, is he? Like, he's not going to run like a 4.4 and all of a sudden be a top 3 round pick.
I don't know, man. It's tough to see where running backs go because, like, you look at T.J. Yeldon, he's coming out this year, and if I'm an NFL team, like, there's not, I don't know. I feel like there's at least 10 to 15 guys I would draft before I would draft him.
Dude, I completely agree. Like, he has not been impressive whatsoever this year.
His best year was his freshman year when he wasn't the feature guy and nobody had seen him before.
Do you think it hurts the fact that every single Alabama running back besides Eddie Lacy has been garbage?
I don't know if that matters. I think it's more of these guys they share so much time at Alabama. You know, like, I think they're never like, you know, they're going to get 30 carries. You don't see what they're like when they get a full workload.
Dude, what do you think T.J. Yeldon's longest run was this year? How long do you think it was?
I have no idea.
24 yards.
31. Dude, Tevin ran probably 10 times a game that long.
Dude, all right, so this is honestly like one of the best running back classes in the last 10 years. It has to be the best running back class in the last 10 years. I mean, you're talking Ajayi. I saw a ranking from a guy I respect, Russell Clay, on Twitter, and he has Ajayi as like the 8th running back. And I have no problem with that because of all the names in front of him. You're looking at guys like Coleman and Melvin and Gurley. You have Robinson. You have Duke Johnson. You have Abdullah. You got Langford, who I've never been a fan of but has produced. David Cobb, who's going up the boards. Let's go around the board here. Top 3 running backs, because I think it's going to be Gurley, Gordon, and Coleman. Tell me. Yeah, I heard that laugh. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Jay Ajayi, number 4. Give me your top 3. I'm sure it's going to be some order of that, and then give me your top 3, Andrew.
Gurley, Coleman, and Melvin.
Really? You don't have any problem with the knee issue, or?
Is it a knee? Or I thought it was like more lower leg than that. Is it knee?
Didn't he have he had ACL surgery?
Yeah,
correct?
He tore his ACL.
Oh, you're talking about Gurley. I thought you were talking about Tevin.
Oh, Tevin, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Tevin Coleman, okay?
He's a god among men, is what he's saying.
Dude, Gurley's just built differently. Like, I'm not worried about him bouncing back, but I guess I like Tevin not as much as Gurley, but definitely more than Melvin, just because it's so impressive how Tevin managed to do anything this season, considering 3/4 of the season the defenses knew he was getting the ball every single time, and that line wasn't even good.
Yeah. Man.
What is your top 3, Zach?
You're saying top 3 is an order of how I would rank them or where they're going to be drafted?
Where you would rank them. You watch them all year long, and don't dare put Jay Ajayi number 1.
I won't.
I have no respect for you if you don't put him number 1.
I'm not. Look, as much as I think he's a complete back, I don't know if we saw that out of Melvin Gordon. Like, we know he can run the ball, but can he pass protect? They never passed at Wisconsin. And can he catch the ball? We don't know.
He can. I don't know if he could consistently. I mean, we saw catches. Like, I don't think it's fair for you to throw Gordon on SportsCenter for a touchdown catch when, he has like 7 on the year. So I'm with you on that.
Right. Well, I think if I were to rank them, I would probably say Gordon, Gurley, Coleman.
I think I'd go Gordon, Gurley, Coleman too. And as much as I love the fact,
wait. Those 3 are after Ajayi, though. So Ajayi is actually.
I like Ajayi, man. I just think, what is Ajayi's speed? What's his 40 time at?
I honestly, I don't think it's that fast, but like he seems to pull away from people, man.
But
like, is
that game fast, or is that like Mountain West fast?
I don't know. He looked pretty fast. He looked pretty fast against Arizona.
I mean, no, he looked awesome against Arizona, and that was a huge game for him. I love Ajayi, but man, it's going to be. I mean, it's no diss to be ranked the number 4 or 5 running back in this class because you're looking at Gurley, you're looking at Gordon, who was number 2 in the Heisman. You're looking at Tevin Coleman, who had a French mime as a quarterback for half the season. An absolutely unbelievable performance this season by Coleman.
Can I bring up the next topic?
Go ahead.
Yes, please do.
Can we talk about Tulsa? I feel like who's had a better offseason than Tulsa, just in terms of getting the Baylor OC as their head coach, bringing in the Bowling Green co-offensive coordinators to coordinate the offense, and then getting a killer freshman quarterback recruit in that kid Chad President, which they absolutely need because I don't care if you have my dream coaching staff. If Dane Evans is your quarterback, it's not going to happen. But
don't you think Dane Evans goes one more year as quarterback before this new guy takes over the reins?
Did you actually watch him play at all or no?
I watched him play against SMU.
Dude, he is terrible in every way. Like he's a disgusting looking human being, and B, he's just bad at football.
So you think this new guy starts as a freshman?
Yeah, I do.
By the way, throughout this year, as in our chat that we've had, this ongoing chat we've had all season, Andrew has not been shy about sending links to like profile pics of players. Like, dude, look at this guy. I had no idea he looked like that.
Dane Evans was one of those guys. I had no idea, Dane Evans. You sneaky son of a gun. Can we just agree that Kevon Lucas is the real winner in this whole thing? He's going to have Dane Evans, who he just worked a whole year with, or he's going to have a guy that's better than Dane Evans because he beat him out. So, Zach's boy.
Are you guys not excited for this situation, too? This is the new Bowling Green. Like how everybody was all stoked up for Bowling Green coming into 2014. It's going to be Tulsa this year.
Exactly. They were a big letdown.
Yeah, because their quarterback got hurt in the first game of the year.
No, I don't think that's solely what it is. I think it's a big. I don't.
You saw how James Kanapke plays football.
No,
it's not good.
I get that. Well, Western Kentucky was the offense of this year. Come on now, really.
I know. I just meant the hype coming into the year.
Oh, right, the hype. Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. Yeah.
What do you guys think about Chad Morris? Did you hear this Chad Morris news this week? SMU head coach.
What about it?
Yeah. What about
it? He told the school that he wants a podium. He wants I don't want to call it like a casing left empty for a future national championship.
Stop! That's awesome.
He goes, I want this podium casing left blank for when we win a national championship.
That's badass.
What a hire! That's
like at Bama how they leave. It's like at Bama how they leave room on Saban's statue for more titles.
Does he know he has Matt Jones as his quarterback?
It's Matt Davis, and he's awesome.
Davis, same basic last name.
Dude, he's going to be such a stud here.
I actually don't mind Matt Davis. Hey, former Texas A&M guy. How many Texas A&M guys are spread out all over the map?
Floating around out there. Quite a few. Which, by the way, looking at the recruiting, I haven't really spent that much time looking at recruiting, but I'm looking at it now. Texas A&M's getting a ton of studs.
Well, they're getting a quarterback. They're talking that Kenny Hill could transfer possibly, right? Or I guess Kyle Allen.
Dude, no, he was the Heisman winner after week 1. You can't do
he was Heisman winner after week 4, bro. Speaking of transfers, this is going to be one of. I mean, I have never. Dan Back tweeted me back about this whole transferring thing. This could be a crazy offseason for transfers. We have a lot of big names transferring. This whole fifth-year graduate and transfer. To start it all off, we have the UAB guys that have transferred. Jordan Howard to Indiana, the running back. Yeah, that guy, I think he ran for 1,500 yards. Jamari Staples, a receiver for UAB. Zach was talking about him in pre-show. He was hurt, but he had 30 catches last year, or I guess 2013 we should say. But we have a ton of quarterbacks, all starting with Jeff Driscoll to Louisiana Tech. We got Cody Clements. He's at South Alabama, correct?
Correct.
And then we got a bunch of guys, Golson, Miller, and even a possible Kevin Hogan transfer here. Let's start with Driscoll. We kind of we talked about him in our group text. Jeff Driscoll. Do we see him beating out Cody Sokol at Louisiana Tech?
So I thought Sokol was a senior.
No, he's a sophomore.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. on that.
Wasn't the whole point of our conversation? Is he good enough? Why would he transfer?
You're right.
Is he a senior?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I mean, is he going to start then? Is that why he transferred to Louisiana Tech? Because he thought he could start?
That's got to be why you would transfer there. You wouldn't transfer to Sid with 1 year of eligibility. I mean, come on.
I don't want to live in a world where Jeff Driscoll is the starting quarterback. Let me just put that out there now. Cody Clements of South Alabama. What do we think about Cody Clements? Any thoughts, opinions on him? No.
He's okay.
What's the receiver deal in South Alabama? Shavara Smith is their big guy, right?
Yeah. I mean,
is he back?
They're going to be replacing a lot on that team, skill position wise.
Okay, and let's go before we get into these big quarterbacks, the bigger topic quarterbacks. Jordan Howard at Indiana. I think Andrew and I were kind of on the same page before we decided to stall and wait to get into it in live Lou TV here. He goes to Indiana. Tevin Coleman, my man crush, is going to the draft. What do we think Jordan Howard's prospects are at Indiana as a runner with potential maybe? Zach, you seem to be on the fence. You seem to be on the line of him being a stud, like replacing Tevin Coleman and being a very good running back, correct?
I mean, look, he's not going to match Tevin Coleman's numbers this year. That was insanely good what he did. But, I mean, I think if he gets the same kind of touches, same kind of workload, I don't see why he couldn't run for 1,500 yards.
Yeah, I think Coleman had 250 carries.
270.
270. I knew 270. I felt that was a little high though. 270 carries for him. I'm doing an article that's going to be posted tomorrow about replacement players, and one of the deeper looks I have, one of the deeper guys, probably the only people that I've heard of are us three. Dominique Booth at receiver, replacing Shane Wynn.
Who, by the way, was a letdown this year. Like. His final
he was a letdown because of his quarterback. He had had catches.
I'm talking fantasy-wise. I'm not talking just...
Yeah. Well, you can't blame him when his quarterback is some French dude.
Right. Like, I had him ranked so high because of what they had done the year before. Like, the way they were throwing it around. Like, Sudfeld looked like he was going to have this great year. And then, of course, he gets hurt and all, but...
By the way, Xander is short for Alexander, and he's like a blonde from Southern California. But anyways, they threw something like 150 times less than last season. When they had that whole two-quarterback system going on.
Yeah.
Where did that guy? Did that black quarterback go to Illinois State?
Yeah, it sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did, and now they're in the championship.
Really? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was just looking at it because they played North Dakota State. Illinois State does. They threw 150 or so times less this year, and they ran it 80 times more this year. D'Angelo Roberts ran very well in the limited time that he got. I thought at times that he was going to steal some of Coleman's carries. I think there's going to be enough action where he runs it, though, Howard, that he gets to 1,500 yards. It's not like the Big Ten. The Big Ten's going to have their teams that give up huge games, the Rutgers, the Marylands, Illinois, Purdue. If they play all those teams, I can easily see 1,500 yards.
I think I was more willing to side with what you were starting to get into pre-show, how you felt that, or I thought you were going this route, how I was going to go more back into Sudfeld's hands this upcoming year.
Well, I think they're gonna pass back to the same thing. But remember 2 years ago, or 2013, they split carries between Coleman and whatever his name was.
Yeah, but Sudfeld was more of the thrower in that offense.
Yeah, I don't think they. I think they pass it more, but I still think Howard can get
Oh yeah.
235 carries, which would he needs 6 yards a carry to get that. I think it could happen. I'd probably say safe guess 1,300 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think 1,500 is kind of where you're looking at him to kind of peak. I don't see anywhere near 2,000.
God, I love Tevin Coleman. I'm gonna miss him. Other transfers, the fun transfers. Let's start with Everett Golson from Notre Dame, and Braxton Miller. Two, I would say, pretty similar. I think Golson's the better thrower, obviously, but Braxton's the better playmaker. Not as great of a thrower. Where do we think these two end up? Because we've heard rumors that both are looking at LSU. I think I've heard that Braxton has been looking at Duke, which just seems odd to me.
Yeah.
And both have seemed to look at Oregon, which both seem like good fits for Oregon.
Dude,
Where do you think
Braxton's been an absolute whore in this whole thing.
Braxton is that blonde head cheerleader that just became single and now wants to make the last guy jealous.
Like,
So-
dude, I could throw out any school right now, and you would say, "Oh, that's interesting for Braxton." Like that would work.
Yeah.
The only school I would say is not interesting for Braxton would be Stanford.
Rutgers,
Yeah,
Right.
nobody's interesting at Rutgers.
Vanderbilt.
Who do we think he goes to? I think that what are the Oregon, LSU, Duke,
Why doesn't one of them go to Alabama?
Alabama, Ole Miss, right? They have a 290-pound quarterback right now as their head guy. What do
Who?
we think here?
This might sound crazy. I'm just throw this out there.
Do not say Boise State.
No. Honestly, though, what is Braxton Miller's goal? Is he wanting to go play in the NFL?
I would assume if he's transferring from Ohio State, it's because he wants to become a pro quarterback.
Okay.
Or
Well, here's my point is because if I don't think he's a pro quarterback. I don't care where he goes.
yeah, I don't think so
I
either.
think-
but yeah, tell
This might sound stupid, but what are the odds he stays at Ohio State and becomes a wide receiver?
No, I think the whole thing has been if he stays and plays another position, it would be a running back.
Or that running back, doesn't matter. I'm
But
just
they got
saying.
Ezekiel Elliott. I don't think I think the thing is when Elliott had that huge game against Alabama, it pretty much shut the door on him staying.
Right.
Because to me, I don't think he gets enough carries to become a relevant running back.
Right. I don't know. Like Braxton Miller, he's not really. He's the worst passer of the three on that Ohio State roster.
Easily, not even close.
Right. That's
But
my point.
say that Braxton Miller is one of the best playmakers. I mean, I would rather have Braxton than Cardale easily.
I guess you've got more games to see from Braxton Miller than you have Cardale Jones too. Like Cardale Jones could end up being better than JT Barrett. We don't know.
Could end up.
That's my point. And how do you tell JT Barrett or Cardale Jones, especially if Cardale Jones wins the national championship, that you know what, guys, Braxton Miller is going to start over you two?
You're not. I think Braxton Miller isn't going to play period next year if he's like. I mean, I just don't think.
Right.
Why would you, I mean, he's a guy? There's not even the fact that he's not as good a passer, but he's a fifth-year senior. Like, why would you keep him? If you play Barrett, you got another year or two with him. If you play Jones, you got another 2 years with him. Like, you have to think about if you're going to play the same level of player, you play the guy with the more eligibility. I mean, what do you think, Andrew? Do you think you got to think he transfers, right?
He's gone. Yeah,
He's gone. So,
I mean, I would think so, but
where would you put him favorite-wise as a quarterback? Where do you think he goes? Or do you think he goes as a running back, maybe?
Tulsa.
God, we can't have a full hour of real responses here. There's no way he goes to Tulsa.
Why not Texas?
that would be legitimate.
That would be legitimate, and I was gonna. And
Dude, they all sound good. They all sound good. It could be anywhere.
So, if I'm Braxton Miller, if you're Braxton Miller, where would you want to go? Because you're looking. Let's say as a quarterback, you want to be a quarterback.
Where would I go?
Where would you go to Oregon and say, well, Mariota just did it, even a spread offense? Would you say, hey, I need to go somewhere that's going to have a pro offense to prove I can pass?
Michigan.
Would they release it? Do they have to release him to Michigan?
I don't think they could turn him down, though, could they?
Right, he's grad, so I don't think they can.
I was going to say, I think it says it's grad school. I don't think they have to say, the other ones they do.
God, can you
It's a
imagine?
great question. I don't think he'd go pro style. I think he'd want to go to a spread place that probably has like a good running back and a good line. So that kind of rules out schools like Florida State, a lot of the SEC. I don't know, man. There's so many good options, I guess, to choose from, though, right?
If you're a college, would you rather have Golson or would you rather have Braxton?
Braxton.
Yeah,
Zach?
Braxton. And I guess it also depends on the style of offense, too, though. Like, if I'm running spread read option,
Here's what we'll say here. Here's what we say. The names that there's the three schools that have been brought up as the ones I mentioned: Duke, LSU, and Oregon. And we'll even throw Texas in there because as much as I love Tyronn Swoops like that, he's not the answer right now. If you're going to go to Duke and Duke style of offense, who would you rather have?
I mean, I don't know how you turn down Braxton.
But if you're if you're Cutcliffe, do you go?
I go Golson. If I'm Cutcliffe, I'd say Golson.
Andrew?
Dude, for me, it's Braxton over Golson in every single scenario.
Okay,
Braxton.
well, here's one. If you go Braxton over Golson at LSU, then there's no way you would, ever not.
Ever not what?
You would, if you go Braxton over Golson at LSU, then there's no
Right.
scenario where you would want Golson over Braxton. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Because
Right.
LSU is a pro style, hand it off. Passes are going to be real throwing passes, not chuck it deep. Oh, I guess LSU would do random crap like that, but that's the most pro style BS offense you're going to get.
True. They lose when LSU loses games. Usually, though, it's close games where they just can't get anything going offensively. And with Braxton, assuming he's healthy, you're always going to be able to at least get something going. You know what I mean? The offense will never be stale.
So you would rather have Braxton at LSU?
Yeah.
Zach?
I don't know. I imagine Golson at LSU, and I feel like the quarterback play that they've had there and what they want to do, I think Golson would be really good there.
I think I would go Braxton at Duke because, if Anthony Boone could do it, so could Braxton. And then at LSU, I think if you just go Braxton again, it's just why not just play Anthony Jennings? So I'd rather, well, yeah, obviously, but I think I'd rather have Golson there. What about at Texas? Would you rather have Golson or Braxton, Andrew?
Braxton.
Okay, so I'm not going to even ask you Oregon
There's
here.
no point. We're wasting precious Lou TV time at this point.
Well, what do you think, Zach? Would you rather go Golson or Braxton at Texas?
I'd probably just go Braxton.
I think the offense is so open.
I don't think they
where
win anyway. I don't think they're going to be this 10 or 11 win team, regardless who's playing quarterback for them.
You don't think Texas' defense is going to be good enough next year to?
It'll be good, but if they don't score any points, they're not beating Baylor and they're not beating TCU. For sure.
Okay, and then the final one. I'm not going to ask you, Andrew. At Oregon, you'd have to go Braxton, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to. I mean, if I'm not
Texas is my pick, by the way, for Braxton. If you ask me where I think he's going, I'm going Texas.
Fair.
All right, so we'll go around the room here. Who do you think? You say Texas, Zach. Where do you think Braxton ends up?
I'm gonna be safe and say he's gonna stay at Ohio State.
It's not safe. It's not happening.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's. I think that's actually the underdog. That would be one of the.
I'm taking it. What are my odds? I'm taking it.
I think Alabama has to get a quarterback in there. I'm not going to say it's Braxton because something feels weird about that. But I think Braxton goes to Oregon. And what about Golson? Golson's got to transfer with the way Malik Zaire played against LSU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where do you think he ends up? LSU, guys?
I think so.
Seems like the right fit. And as SEC is now allowing transfers after that have 1 year of eligibility left.
Why not Florida State?
Florida State too, I guess. I mean, to me that's almost the same thing, except FSU would probably be a more
Well,
enticing option.
LSU has like two like you don't think Brandon Harris could show enough development to to like scare off you don't think there's enough better scenarios for Golson than competing against Anthony Jennings and Brandon Harris where he doesn't have to walk into that situation?
I think competing against Brandon Jennings and
He just merged them together.
yeah, Brandon Harrison.
Brandon Jennings.
Brandon Jennings is playing point guard for the Pistons right now.
Yeah, God. I think the combination of those two quarterbacks is not even close to. I think those two quarterbacks. I mean, I'd rather have Steven Jackson as my quarterback for LSU than those two guys. Like those two guys do not. No, not at all. I'm not worried about it. If I'm Everett Golson and I can't beat out either of those two quarterbacks, then why am I worried about the NFL?
Right. I think we know Golson's. Yeah, he's had his ups and downs at Notre Dame, but again, he did play in a national championship. Yeah, he did lose,
He
but
threw for like 4,000 yards this year, didn't he?
did he? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wasn't he like in and out of the lineup? He started the season on fire.
He threw for 3,400 yards. He threw for probably 4 times as many yards as both those quarterbacks did.
Yeah. I mean, I think we know what he can do. Like Anthony Jennings and Brandon Harris, man, like they've been so inept at quarterback. Like I don't even know how they got scholarships. Like they've been so bad.
I don't know either. One interesting I'll call this a super rumor because I don't know how much I believe this at all. Supposedly Kevin Hogan has had issues with David Shaw's play calling. I don't blame him at all. Stanford has punted this season from the 29 and the 32-yard line where they were about to score. Okay? They're about to score. They kick a 46-yard field goal, and they get points. And they punt it instead. So Kevin Hogan supposedly could be under this whole graduate transfer. I've heard things from Maryland to Texas to Michigan. Do you think, I mean, obviously, Andrew, you think what's his name goes to Texas. So do you think Michigan or Maryland are good fits for a guy like Kevin Hogan?
He's not a bad player, dude. Like he's definitely better than a lot of D1 Power 5 quarterbacks out there. So yeah, I mean those systems seem fine, like pretty decent fits.
I mean, I think he would be, if I'm one of those two schools, if I was Texas, I would jump at Kevin Hogan. Kevin Hogan has not really shown anything, but he hasn't been pressed to show a whole lot.
Part of that story, I didn't read that story. I know what you're talking about with Hogan, but I assume part of it also has to be, isn't this kid Keller Chris supposedly incredible? The kid they redshirted this year at Stanford?
That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really know a whole lot about him, so I can't. But either way, if you're Hogan, you can't feel safe. And
right.
If you're trying to get in the pros, I mean, if Hogan stayed on his track and played another year at Stanford, he doesn't get drafted higher than the 6th round, does he?
I mean, they'll be able to tell that he's really good at handing the ball off and playing in 14 to 13 games.
So I'd have to say, if you're Kevin Hogan and you can leave to go to a school, why would you? I mean, I think Kevin Hogan was recruited by Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think Michigan's got to be the front runner. I mean, I really do.
If he transfers, he has to be. You would think, Jim Harbaugh recruited him. It's an offense where you can, in my opinion, get looks. They throw it enough, as we saw. Even with Devin Gardner, they would throw it. So that would be odd to see Kevin Hogan in maize and blue. But, I mean, I think if you're a Michigan guy, you would have to love that move.
Especially as just a one-year kind of get Harbaugh transitioned into Michigan's. Like they're not gonna be great this year. I feel like it's good though to have somebody under center that can manage the game. Like I know that's so cliche, but I think that's what you need.
And I think Hogan would be enticed by the fact that he'd be the guy there, and Harbaugh, if he saw what he liked, then he'd say, "Hey Hogan, throw it 30 times and here's some routes that can make you look." He would give him the opportunity to impress. At Stanford, that's not going to happen. They're going to continue to punt from the 30. That's just what they do. That's their style of play.
Right.
So, did we miss anything we want to talk about here? I feel like it was a pretty good first talk of, I don't want to say off season because we still got one game left. But
So, I thought initially when we talked about doing the show, we focus a little more on the 38 bowls that we've been through. So who
Oh, I gotta throw this out there, guys.
feel
I gotta say that you guys got smoked in Bowl Bash. I had to throw that
This
in.
is your fault. This is your fault for bringing up bowl games. I got smashed, and I'm gonna blame that on myself.
But I will
Yeah.
say this though: the guy that won, like, there was nobody touching that lineup, dude.
What was his? What was his lineup? I didn't even. Honestly,
Okay.
After my first week, I was like, my team is so terrible.
His quarterback 3 was Cooper Rush from Central Michigan.
How many people had Cooper Rush?
1.
So you're saying there's a chance?
He had 62 points.
Jeez, props to him, man. How much did he end up winning? We gave 100% of prop or 100% of the money pool to players, and what do we have? Top 2 or 3 place?
Yeah, the top 3 placed. First place, I believe, got 400.
For $25, or was it 20 or 25? I don't even remember.
20.
$20 buy-in, man.
Yeah.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. He also had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were his 2 running back ones.
So he just rubbed it in, Kareem Hunt, just the other day. Wow.
Yeah.
He was up like 80 points going into that last game.
40-point lead going into the final game, and then he has that.
Here's a question. One of my buddies asked me where he thought where Kareem Hunt would go in the draft, but I was like, he's a sophomore, so I don't think he's going. I
Right.
don't think he even can. I didn't know if he was registered or not, but I didn't think he'd go either way. Kareem Hunt, does he have a draft potential next year? I mean, where would he rank in this year's draft class? Would he rank in the top 6 or 7?
I don't know if he would.
Because
I
he's
don't know
not a
anything
step
about
back. He's not a little Darren Sproles guy. I mean, he's a pretty solid sized
No,
dude.
but who are you going to put him over, though, is my question.
Yeah, I don't know if he beats out any of those top 5, but it's not like he's some, he's not some like
Scrub?
Yeah, he's not. Well, he's not some super speedy dude that just gets by being faster than all these MAC schools.
Right. Yeah. I think I haven't looked at next year's potential class, but I mean, I think he's definitely got that kind of that low key, like nobody's really going to know about him. He's going to go get drafted by somebody, and he's going to get a significant amount of carries in the NFL. I feel like.
He's gonna remind me of a more legitimate running back of like Dre Archer, where it's just like
Yeah, kind of.
they
Yeah.
draft him and they don't really know what to do with him. They kind of like don't use him in the proper way. It should be an interesting.
Well, like I look at I know this guy's smaller, but like Ronnie Hillman for the Broncos.
Ronnie Hillman's tiny, dude.
Yeah, but what my point is, not a lot of people. He was a stud in college, but not a lot of people knew about him that don't follow college like we do. Like I feel like he's gonna have that kind of impact. Like he's gonna carry the ball quite a bit. He's gonna get significant touches.
You know what? I'm sorry, Ronnie Hillman. Didn't mean to say tiny. I was thinking Donnell Pumphrey.
Ah,
Ronnie Hillman did he go to San Diego State?
yep.
Okay, that's why I got confused. Pumphrey is tiny, right?
Yeah.
That guy's got the biceps of a 13-year-old girl. Like,
Right.
does he not get broken in the NFL? Like, to
Dude,
me,
when I saw Pumphrey's stats for like the first 3 games of the year, and then I turned on TV, I was like, this is what is doing that. Doesn't make any sense.
It would have been better if he was a white dude with long hair. Let's just put it that way.
Or just like a wrecking ball. Like, come on, man.
Like, yeah, you look at Devin Johnson from Marshall, and you're like, wow, this guy's got unbelievable stats, and he's like 6'1", 260.
Yeah, I remember turning the TV on like, whoa, that's that guy?
That's the guy that's breaking off 80-yard touchdowns, and then it's
Dude,
like
he's
Donnell
the man.
Pumphrey.
Dude, what's that tight end lining up in the backfield for? It's really what he was, because he was a tight end.
That's literally exactly. And then Donnell Pumphrey, you're looking at him like, What 16-year-old girl stole the San Diego State jersey and helmet?
Which, by the way, Ronnie Hillman's about the same size.
Really?
Like,
Well,
height
you know
and
what?
weight.
You know what makes me like really wonder is Dalvin Cook. Don't look it up. I think we might have even talked about this. Dalvin Cook. How big do you think Dalvin Cook is?
I'd say 6 foot.
Andrew?
5'9".
See, I would have assumed that I talked to people about him before looking up his actual stat. I'd seen him plenty play for Florida State this year, and I was thinking he was like 5'9". He's 6 foot or 6'1", 205 pounds.
I mean, honestly, I just assumed he was bigger.
He looks small in terms of height, but he's a thick dude. But he looks small and not 5'9". He's like 6 foot.
Well, Jameis is a pretty big dude. Like, when he's handing that ball off to him, he probably makes him look small.
He probably does a little bit, yeah. Yeah. But see, we have like highlights running that go nonstop on the big screen at the Hall of Fame, and every single time I look at the Florida State highlights, it just does a loop. Every time Florida State comes up, I'm still like, that's Dalvin Cook. Like that, he's so small. It just looks small, but he can run. He can ball. That dude can ball. You know.
Like, it makes you wonder, like, you know, they've got – everybody talks about, oh, Jameis Winston's going to leave. They're not going to be any good. But have you seen the freshmen that they played this year? Like, that had significant contributions to that team?
Yeah, man.
They're going to be good, man.
Where is this at?
Florida State. I'm just saying that.
Oh, yeah.
They replace Jameis. Let's say they get Braxton Miller. Like, they've got to be a favorite to be in the playoff again. Have to be.
You know, I don't know anything really about their defense. I know some of their guys are, declaring. I think I've heard a couple guys declare. But, man, they got Ermine Lane, Travis Rudolph, Bobo Wilson.
Kermit Whitfield.
And Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. Mario Pender.
Mario Pender, man. What a guy. He was so good that one week, and then he got hurt, and then Dalvin Cook got back from his injury and just put him to shame. But that's a team, if they can find a quarterback, if they can get anybody, they could get Kevin Hogan and benefit from that. I don't know what their quarterback situation is coming into next year, but since Jameis is gone, that's going to be a very interesting offense.
By the way, just to throw this out there, Sean McGuire, the guy who filled in for Jameis, that one game he had to sit out, in our Dynasty League, he only had 9.66 points all season. He's a backup quarterback. But he got 9.16 in that game he started.
It's Sean McGuire, man. There's no way that guy plays.
That's my point. Like, how do you not, like, with that?
If Sean McGuire's the starting quarterback next year, there's no way Florida State wins 10 games.
Oh, no. I don't think he's...
Dude, I can't believe they beat Clemson with him in that game.
Clemson beat them. So this was like still the time of Cole Stout playing significant time.
Yeah.
And in Florida State, I think Clemson missed 2 makeable field goals.
Yeah, it's still unbelievable. Like, McGuire played so unbelievably bad, and they somehow won that game.
What was the final score? 16-13?
I think it was a little more than that.
What a...
Can we end the show with a Ohio State clap?
Oh, I love that.
Dude, it's either the 2 quarterbacks that jump out at me that do that: Braxton Miller and Taylor Martinez.
Kenny Guyton.
Yeah.
Good old Kenny Guyton against Cal. All right, guys.
We'll always have that.
We'll always have that one weekend, guys. This is Lou TV. I think this is what you'll get a little. You should expect for a while. Once June and July come around, we're going to do like we did last year and preview some conferences, which I think ended up being pretty cool, pretty beneficial, at least for the beginning of the year. But for now, we're going to have a little fun with it, talk about transfers, whatever breaking news is coming on. And then I think what's going to happen is some of us are going to be doing some writing and writing some articles maybe on just some fun things like underrated players, overrated players, future, present, past, that kind of thing, and just kind of talk about it in the show and just trying to keep you guys up to date on college football stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Ran a little long there, kind of just joking around, having a good time. But hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week, all right?
Everybody.
Bye.